Let's grumble. In this video, we're going to talk a little bit about giving your puppy timeouts. Now, during playtime, there's times where your puppy might get a little bit too exuberant. And so if it practices playing too exuberantly or too intensely, that can really set off the other puppies and create a fearful experience for them. And now they're going to be fearful of playing with other dogs. It also can help your puppy practice playing too roughly, which is something you really don't want them to do. Now, before we do this, what we prefer to do is do a little hand targeting exercise. Teach your puppy to touch his nose with your hand, and it's going to come up to you. So that's in a different video, but it's really important that you practice that one, because really what we'd like you to do is follow your puppy around during playtime. When the play gets a little bit too intense, give your puppy that touch or target command. It comes over and disengages from the other puppy and comes to you. If you let your puppy play too exuberantly, it's not going to want to the more intense the play gets. So it's really important to be very proactive and ahead of the game with this. Don't wait for your puppy to be all crazy. I like to say dogs have 10 levels of energy. 0 is asleep, 10 is as crazy as you've seen your dog. This would be like a 1 for Ollie. If you let your puppy get to level 8 or 9 energy, it takes them a lot longer to get back down to level 2 or 3 energy. If you catch them at 4 or 3 or 4 or 5, it's a lot shorter of a trip. And the more you practice that, the puppies actually learn, if I go past level 5 energy, I get an automatic timeout. So let's just keep it at 4.9 or less. And I've seen this happen with hundreds of puppies. They learn an appropriate play level. It's really important. Also, don't let your puppy have other puppies play with it too exuberantly. If it's too much, ask the other guardian to give a timeout. This is one of the reasons why we don't recommend going to dog parks until your puppy is older, because you just can't get close enough to your puppy. And a lot of people at the dog park are not going to be shepherding their dogs as well as we do in puppy class. So remember, during puppy class, we want you to be watching your puppy. You should not be texting her on the phone. You should be, if you want to film your puppy, that's fine, but make sure you're following your puppy around the room. You don't have to chase it, but try to stay within about 10 feet of your puppy. Now, this is kind of how I give a timeout. I'm gonna, as you saw, I put my hands here. Let's go ahead and I'll show you like here. So I'm gonna go ahead like this, and I'm pulling back, and I'm immediately gonna give him a treat. I wanna make sure that the dog associates that when I get this pressure here on my hind quarters, thighs, I guess, that I'm gonna turn around and I'm gonna get a treat from my humans, and that makes it a positive experience. Now, if you do it exclusively here in puppy class, they're not gonna wanna do it because they wanna go back to playing with the other puppy. So this is really important that you practice at home. And then I come in here, give him that, pull him back a couple steps, and then give him a treat right away. If your puppy mouths or bites at your hand, that means you need to practice this a little bit more. And so you might just go like this, touch, and then treat. And when your puppy is playing too exuberantly, you're gonna come up essentially behind your puppy. Let's see if we can position you around the way that I'd like you to go. Like this, and then you're gonna pull your puppy a couple feet away and give him that treat. So I'm gonna pull back, and you see his head is already snapping around. He already is just starting to associate, this pressure here means I'm about to be rewarded. So instead of looking at it as a negative, that I'm not able to play with this other puppy, I look at it as a positive. So I'm doing this, I get a treat, then you redirect your puppy, now he's facing away from the other puppy. And if you need to, you can go like this, and get him walking away from the other puppy. Also, if you're another puppy in class is getting a timeout, you make sure that you go ahead and redirect your puppy. Now again, we prefer you go with a hand targeting exercise and lead him away that way, because that way it's no pressure whatsoever. But if you can't do that, it's okay to do the pressure, pulling him on his thighs, but that's an indication that you probably need to practice your hand touch and targeting exercise, or that you let your puppy play a little bit too exuberantly. There's nothing wrong with timeouts. It's not a punishment, it's not a negative. So if you're ever in doubt, or you think the other puppy might not like it, go ahead and give them the timeout. Now, one of the other things that you might want to do is if your puppy is super energetic, if you give them a timeout and they go back and they just spike in energy again, well, you might actually take them away and then give them something to do, like Ollie's kind of demonstrating right here. Come here, buddy. So do the timeout and ask for a sit. And then give him a treat. Ask for a down. Give him a treat. Ask him to do a hurricane. Let's see if we can get you to do a hurricane. So what I'm doing is I'm redirecting the dog's attention on me instead of the other dog. I'm rewarding him for doing that, and you're also helping your dog's energy come down. And again, if it won't listen to you when you're doing it, it just wants to go back to the other puppy, keep increasing the distance. You have to leave the room, and once you leave the room, wait for your puppy to settle down a little bit and then ask for a couple sits. Yes, you just like that. And after a while, your puppy will start to look at these timeouts as a good little thing, because that means I'm about to get my own little private stash of treats. Please don't play with your puppy too rough yourself as well. That's another mistake that I see people do, where they let their dogs at home play too rough. Well, he knows these dogs. guess what your puppy's doing? He's practicing playing. And if your puppy practices with your adult dogs in a rough way, he's going to think that's how I should play with all dogs. So it's never appropriate to let your puppy play too exuberantly or too high energy, especially if the other puppy is not enjoying the situation. All right, well, this is my buddy Ollie, and these are some tips on how you can incorporate timeouts during socialization to make sure that your puppy learns to play at an appropriate play level as an adult dog. Quest, you are a goofball.